All right, for today's Huddle Station, we're talking about equation forms. On your yellow formula chart, you see the section where it talks about the different forms of equations. We know the most famous is the slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. We also know standard form, ax plus by equals c. And we also know point-slope form, which is y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Alright, on example number 1, it asks which equation best represents the graph shown below. We love it when our answer choices are all in slope-intercept form. For this one, you can obviously graph each of these into your calculator, and it would show the lines, and you'd pick the one that it looks like. Here's where knowing what slope-intercept form is saves you some time. You know that that's the y-intercept, which would mean it's supposed to be down here, so it can't be that one. This has the correct y-intercept at 3, and it has a slope of what? What's in front of that x? The imaginary 1, because there's only one x there. So the slope is 1 over 1. Up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. So that indeed is the answer. This one has the correct y-intercept, but it has a negative slope, which would be going down 1 over 1. So that's going in the wrong direction. And this again has the wrong y-intercept. Nonetheless, you can still graph those to get the answer. Let's take a look at example 2. It wants to know which equation describes the line that passes through these 2 points. We look at the answer choices and are not as happy as we were on the last one because only one of these is in slope-intercept form. This is in a random form, not one of the 3, and these are both in standard form. Now, several ways we can solve this question. One, this one's easy to graph, and you should know how to graph things in standard form, where you click menu and graph entry and you pick equation, or if you have a different software, relation, and type those in. So you can still type in the equation and then simply look at the line and see if it passes through those. For answer choice B, if we had to, you would have to move this around in some way to make it either match standard form or slope-intercept. Now, if that sounds like it's too much work, you can also simply plug in these values. That's your x and that's your y. So we plug it into the equation and see if it works. So let's take example A. My x is 3, so instead of that x, I put a 3, and my y is 0. Instead of that y, I put a 0, and we see if it's true. What's 3 times 3? 9. 9 plus 4. Is that equal to 0? No. So we can already eliminate A because it did not work out with our first point. We'll work our way through each of these answer choices, and it has to match both point 1 and point 2. I'm going to go ahead and skip to the answer that I can already tell is the answer. But if you were taking this test, you just work your way straight down. I'm going to work down here on answer choice D. X is 3, so instead of that x, I put a 3. Y is 0, so instead of that y, I put a 0. And see if this works. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 times 0 is 0. 12 plus 0 is indeed 12. And now it worked on the first point, but it also has to work on the second point. So we try that. 4, I'm using this original equation, we're checking it out, so it's 4 times my x value, and the x in this case is 0, 4 times 0, plus 3 times my y value, which is 4, equals 12. What is 4 times 0? 0 plus 3 times 4 is 12 equals 12. Does 12 equal to 12? Yes, so it worked on both of our points. We know the answer is D. If you don't like this method of plugging in these points, don't forget you can still type these into your calculator. Now, one thing to note, when you type slope-intercept form into your calculator, you can see if these points are on just by looking at it. You can also hit Control Table, Control T for table. It would pull up a table and you could see if this point and this point is in the table, and that would work. The problem with Control T is it will not work with standard form. If you've graphed it in standard form, you can't pull up a table. All right, those are the two examples. Just look through the rest of these problems to see if we need any hints. You know how to find slope from a line, and you can see y-intercept. That'll be an easy question for you. Line that has a slope of 1/3, you would look at your answer choices. Since they're all in slope-intercept form, we're happy. You can tell what the slope would be, so we can't eliminate anything there. You can graph these in your calculator and see if it goes through that point, or you could plug in your x value for your x and your y value for your y. All right, continuing through. For a lot of these problems, you're going to end up plugging in the points to see if they match, or graphing and hitting Control T, or just looking to see if the 2 points are as they stated. Some of these questions are very simple, where it talks about 2 points and the lines. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. Good luck.